London but bred in Liverpool, the Singh twins are renowned British artists. They have made their mark as international painters, displaying their works at various exhibitions across the globe. Both the twins were brought up and educated in Birkenhead in Wirral. Soon they will receive the honorary Scouse Award from the Mayor of Liverpool. Your journey begin as artists?
Pretty much by accident, actually, we became artists. We never intended to do art, I have to say. But we went to India in 1980 and discovered the Indian miniature there as teenagers and totally fell in love with that particular style of painting. And we came back to England, and just as a hobby, I guess, we started to try and explore how the miniature was put together. And then by the time we left school, we went to university, and part of our degree was actually to study Western contemporary art, and again, still at that time, we weren't intending to be artists, but we experienced such a lot of prejudice towards the type of work and the type of interests we had, which was basically rooted in our Indian heritage, that we decided that art was actually quite an important thing to pursue, and a sort of visual language where we could really challenge the kind of cultural stereotypes and prejudices that we were experiencing at that time, not just at art college, but as generally British Asians.
Now, is there anyone in your family who have been painters like yourselves?
No one's taken up art professionally. I think generally the women in our household, I think as all Indian women, have this innate sense of, you know, the decorative, love for the decorative and the crafts, and that they're very, you know, talented. If you go to India, to the villages, for instance, there's such beautiful work there. Nobody's had any training, but they have this innate ability to create really wonderful, you know, designs, for instance, you know, Rangoli designs. So I think we're the first really to take up art as a profession.
What does your paintings in general signify?
Well, we're inspired by many things really, from both Indian art and Western art. And really our work tries to bring those two things together. So we actually call our work past modern. And that signifies two things. Really, it's bringing the past tradition into modern society, because one of the issues that we had with our tutors while trying to work in this style was that it was supposedly outdated and backwards, and we were trying to prove by drawing upon the Indian miniature but doing contemporary themes within that style that you can have the best of both worlds. You can keep hold of your tradition and still be modern as well.
Which one is your favourite?
Oh, I think probably one of the favourites is a piece we've done called 1984, which is the biggest piece we've done, big for our standards anyway, probably about 4 by 5 foot, but it basically depicts the storming of the Golden Temple in 1984 by the Indian government. And it was obviously a lot of emotions gone into that, with us coming from the Sikh background ourselves, and it was really our challenge, if you like, to the lack of understanding amongst our peers at the time. You know, we remember the event, and the lack of media coverage that really gave the other side of the whole story about the human suffering, you know, kind of grassroots level, how many innocent people were caught in the crossfire, for instance. And it's become a very important work for us, because we've used it since painting it, really to continue to highlight human rights issues that have arisen from that event in India. So it's always in our touring exhibition show, and we very often highlight it when we're giving presentations on our work. Really, you know, just to kind of bring that event to a much broader audience, really, that are unaware of what happened. And
you've also written books, fine arts books mainly, so can you tell us more about your book writing?
The book writing is probably our kind of academic upbringing, because originally we were going to go into academia before we became artists, and we've always enjoyed research and writing and that whole field of academic research and discussion. So aside to our painting, we've produced books on things that interest us, mainly to do with art, kind of combining those dual interests. And one of the books is a children's book called Bindu's Weddings, which is actually looking at the Asian wedding in Britain through the eyes of our younger sister Bindu. And it follows 5 of our paintings, and it's set to poetry, which has some Punjabi language in there too, so it's a kind of dual language format. Just a very light-hearted look at what happens at a wedding, the things that we can all relate to and laugh at, you know. Other books are works that we've written about our own paintings. There's Worlds Apart and Twin Perspectives, which really follows our work from 1987 to about 2002.
What is your motto in life which gets you going, Anthony? What are your future plans?
Well, commission work mainly. We've got 2 major commissions at the moment which we're working on. One is for the Royal Ontario Museum in Toronto, which is a piece about the Sikh community in Canada and the whole history of their immigration there. And the second work is a piece for the London Museum, which is really fascinating. It's based on a painting in their collection, and we've been asked to reinterpret that in the light of sort of modern day thinking, and particularly I think the Asian perspective on it, because it's a work that depicts the outgoing and the return of the British troops during the First War of Indian Independence, which is otherwise known as the Indian Mutiny. And so obviously it has a very different meaning from the British perspective as it does from our own Asian, Indian identity perspective.
And lastly, what advice would you like to give to youngsters out there who want to be artists like yourselves?
Okay, well, it is a tricky path. That's the first advice. I think the arts in general, whether it's painting or sort of dance or theatre or whatever, is a very difficult path. A lot of competition, and it's not easy to kind of make a stable career of it, if I could put it that way. But that's not to say that they shouldn't pursue that. I think the advice we would have is that if it's genuinely something that they want to do, they should go for it. They should have some faith in what they're doing. Never be told what they should do in terms of the kind of art styles that they're inspired by. Don't bow to pressure of the sort of establishment that they should be studying X, Y and Z in art when really their interest lies elsewhere, because I think that produces artwork that's really not in keeping with their own identity or their own interests. But I think also at the same time, when you're starting off in art, it's also very important to keep in mind other career options in case you don't make the path that you want to. And we've been lucky too, because we've had a lot of family support from day one,
very
really.
important.
And without that family support, we wouldn't have got as far as we have today being artists. So
it is amazing to see how Amrit and Rabinder can reach such heights of success at such a young age. Their journey is truly inspirational for many British Asians. This is Vaishali Datta for Asian Light TV in Liverpool.